Some coins slip through our fingers so often that we barely give them a second glance, until you realize one small flaw or quirk can turn a stack of everyday change into a prized collectible. Today, we're zeroing in on two quarters that fit that exact description. Ordinary on the surface, extraordinary once you know what to look for. First up is the Nevada State Quarter, a brave, copper-nickel tribute to the silver state that conceals rare die breaks, cuds, and a few other surprises. Stick around, and you might just discover that your pocket change holds a hidden treasure. Released in 2006 as part of the U.S. Mint's popular 50 State Quarters program, the Nevada Quarter set out to honor the state's rugged landscapes and storied mining legacy. Designed by Joseph Minna, it features three wild Mustangs charging across an open plain, backed by jagged mountain peaks and the rising sun. Beneath the stirring scene, the Silver State is inscribed, a nod to the silver mines that once made Nevada one of America's wealthiest territories. More than just a pretty image, this design captures Nevada's spirit of independence and natural beauty, qualities that become even more fascinating when you factor in the coin's production quirks. Between the Philadelphia, P, and Denver, D, mints, the U.S. Mint struck roughly 589 million Nevada quarters. So, on paper, it seems like they should be everywhere. But as with any mass-produced item, tiny production flaws slipped through the cracks. In many cases, those flaws are the very reason collectors now hunt these coins down. The main stars of the show are die cracks, often called spider cracks for their web-like appearance. They happen when the steel die that stamps each quarter's design starts to fracture under repeated use. On the Nevada Quarter, these cracks can snake around the horse's legs, slice through the rising sun, or even bisect the mountains in the background. The most dramatic examples look almost supernatural, like glowing halos or fractured ice, and those coins routinely command higher prices. Then there's the cud error, another byproduct of die deterioration. When a piece of the die breaks away entirely, it leaves a blank spot that the molten planchet metal rushes in to fill. On Nevada quarters, cuds typically appear along the coin's rim, sometimes nearest the sunburst or lodged in the rim beside the Mustangs. No two cuds are identical. Each one is as unique as a fingerprint, making them especially fascinating to error collectors. Some cuds are small and subtle, calling for close inspection, while others are bold, chunky lumps that practically demand a double take. Beyond cracks and cuds, savvy collectors have also cataloged a handful of other rarities in this series. A few Nevada quarters exhibit doubling, most often on the lettering of the motto or the edge of the horse's hooves, where the die shifted ever so slightly during the strike. Others show filled die errors, where grease or debris in the die recess left parts of the design faint or missing. Even minor anomalies like rotated dies, where the coin's reverse is slightly misaligned with its obverse, can add a premium if the rotation exceeds 90 degrees and the surfaces are in top shape. Of course, a flawless, error-free Nevada quarter in circulation is still only worth its face value. But once you introduce a significant error, especially one that's clear to the naked eye, prices can climb into the triple digits. In the world of auction sales and private deals, error coins with bold die cracks or sizable cuds have traded hands anywhere from $75 to $250, depending on the rarity and visual impact. Condition matters just as much as the error itself. A spectacular spider-cracked Nevada quarter in mint state, graded MS66 or above by PCGS or NGC, can push values north of $400, sometimes even reaching $500 if the error is exceptionally dramatic and the surfaces are razor-sharp. To put that into perspective, consider a Denver-minted Nevada quarter with a near-complete circle of die cracks encircling the Mustangs like a fractured crown. In 2022, one such specimen sold in a private transaction for around $475, astonishing both buyer and seller given the coin's humble origins as a 25-cent piece. Meanwhile, more modest error examples in circulated grades often sell for $20 to $50, still a handsome return for anyone who found them in everyday change. When evaluating condition-based values, remember that grading scales hinge on strike sharpness, surface preservation, and eye appeal. A coin graded MS65 shows strong luster and minimal contact marks, while MS-67 or MS-68 pieces exhibit near-perfect surfaces with virtually no distractions. For error coins, however, collectors sometimes accept a slightly lower grade if the flaw itself is spectacular, because the visual drama of the error can outweigh a few tiny bag marks or hairlines. If you're on the hunt for these rarities, start by sorting through rolls of Denver minted Nevada quarters. Hold each coin up to a bright light and look for irregular lines extending from the rim into the design. For cuds, examine the rim carefully for any bulges or unexplained bumps. A 10 times loop is helpful but not strictly necessary. Many die cracks on Nevada quarters are bold enough to spot with the naked eye. And when you think you've found a candidate, photograph it under good light and compare it to reference images in error coin guides or online forums. Authentication and proper grading by a reputable service will maximize your coin's market appeal, especially if you plan to sell. In addition to grading nuances, storage and handling are crucial. Because these coins were struck in high volumes, even slight toning or surface damage can impact value. So handle them by the edges, store them in inert holders, and avoid PVC flips that can leave sticky residues over time. Keeping detailed notes about where and when you found each coin, bank rolls, estate lots, or change jars also adds a layer of provenance that excited buyers appreciate. Beyond their tangible market value, Nevada state quarters with errors hold a deeper kind of appeal. They're snapshots of U.S. mint history, tangible proof that even a modern coin can develop quirks as it rolls through production. That sense of discovery. Turning over a common quarter to find a crack that looks like lightning or a cud that resembles a tiny mountain is what makes collecting thrilling, even for seasoned numismatists in their 40s and 50s. Up next, we'll turn our attention to the Indiana State Quarter, another design from the same era that packs its own set of rare errors and fascinating backstory. Proof that every state quarter can tell a story well beyond its face value. Shifting gears from Nevada's wild Mustangs, let's gallop eastward to the heartland with the Indiana State Quarter, released in 2002 as one of the very first 5 coins in the state quarters program. From its humble circulation origins, this coin quietly developed a following among collectors seeking both subtle errors and standout varieties that can turn pocket change into prized keepsakes. The Indiana Quarter was designed by Thomas Rogers and celebrates the state's storied racing heritage. On the reverse, motorist silhouettes streak past the outline of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, complete with its iconic yard of bricks finish line. Above them, the words Crossroads of America evoke Indiana's central role in early highway development. It's a clean, dynamic design, perfect for honoring a state known as much for Hoosier hospitality as for high-octane competition. When it first hit the streets on January 6, 2002, few people realized these quarters would one day be hunted for more than their 25-cent face value. At first glance, Indiana quarters look plentiful. More than 728 million pieces were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints combined. But that massive mintage hides a handful of rare error varieties that serious collectors covet. The most talked about among these is the wide AM variety. On most Indiana quarters, the letters A and M in America sit close together, but a small batch, estimated at just a few thousand coins, exhibit a noticeably wider gap. That tiny space between the letters is enough to make these coins stand out in any collection, especially when graded in high mint state conditions. Another sought-after anomaly is a double die reverse, where the driver figures and the speedway outline show subtle doubling. This occurs when the die shifts slightly between strikes, imparting a faint duplicate impression that insiders call DDR. It's often most visible on the front wheel of the racer's silhouette or along the upper rim, where the lettering is double-stamped ever so slightly. While the doubling on Indiana quarters isn't as bold as on some other U.S. coins, it's prized precisely because it's so elusive. You need a trained eye and a loupe to confirm it, which adds to the thrill of the hunt. Beyond those 2-star errors, other collectible Indiana quarters include those with filled die errors, where grease or debris in the die caused parts of the design to strike weakly. On some coins, you might notice the finish line bricks are faint or missing entirely, or the driver's helmet looks unusually smooth. These filled die examples aren't as rare as the wide AM variety, but in pristine condition, they still command premiums over face value. Turning to market prices, a standard circulated Indiana quarter is still a mere 25 cents in utility, but collectors pay more for these era varieties. Circulated wide AM specimens or faint DDRs typically sell for $20 to $50, depending on the eye appeal and wear. At auction, uncirculated mint state, MS63, MS65, wide AM coins frequently hammer between $75 and $150. When you find an MS66 or higher example, especially one graded by PCGS or NGC, prices can soar to $200 or more, with top-end DDRs sometimes edging into the $250 to $300 range thanks to their rarity and collector demand. Indiana quarters also made headlines when a handful of silver-clad proofs, intended for circulation but struck on leftover silver planchets from the 1990s, slipped through and entered coin rolls. These genuine 90% silver proofs feature the same design, but have a distinct ring and weight compared to the clad circulation pieces. Only a few dozen have been confirmed, making them exceptionally rare. In 2021, one such silver Indianapolis quarter in flawless proof condition sold for over $2,000, a jaw-dropping figure that underscores the power of minting mishaps. Collectors don't just chase errors, though. The Indiana quarter's racing theme ties into Indiana's deep automotive roots, from early Lincoln Highway bacon strip pavement to today's IndyCar spectacles. Some collectors relish the stories behind the coins, recalling family road trips along Route 24 or tales of watching the Indy 500 on TV. That emotional connection, paired with the coin's clean design and the drama of potential errors lurking in every roll, gives the Indiana quarter a special place in State Series portfolios. Condition-based value variations follow familiar numismatic patterns. Circulated pieces, even with wide AM errors, are valued modestly if heavily worn, around $20 in G4 to F12 grades. As the grade climbs into AU, about uncirculated, and MS, mint state, territory, values rise steeply. And $50 wide AM might fetch $50 to $75, while an MS63 example could sell for $100 to $125. Collectors prize coins graded MS66 or above, where luster is strong, contact marks are minimal, and the error is crisp. Those can command $200 to $300 or more. Filled die varieties and DDR specimens earn premiums too, though their market tends to be more niche since some buyers focus exclusively on dramatic errors. An especially memorable sale took place in late 2023 when a PCGS-graded MS67 wide AM coin appeared in an online auction. With razor-sharp detail, a perfectly centered strike, and the textbook letter spacing, it drew fierce bidding and eventually sold for $325. That single auction demonstrated how much collectors value not just rarity, but overall eye appeal and provenance. Knowing exactly when and where that coin left the mint, and having it certified by a trusted service. For those eager to hunt Indiana quarter errors, here's the best approach. Assemble rolls of Philadelphia minted coins first, as the majority of wide AM examples originated there. Use a bright LED flashlight held at a low angle to highlight the spacing between the A and M, and inspect the driver's silhouette for any ghostly doubling. A 10 times magnifier will reveal filled die issues in the brickwork or lettering. Record findings meticulously, date, mint mark, and any visible anomalies. Then submit promising pieces to a grading service if you aim to maximize return. Beyond grading, proper handling and storage are essential. Keep error specimens in inert plastic flips or archival quality holders to preserve their surfaces and luster. Avoid touching the faces with bare fingers. Oils and acids can cause fingerprints or tarnish that diminish value. Store coins in a cool, dry place away from PVC-lined materials that can leach over time. And consider building relationships with reputable dealers or online numismatic communities. Trading knowledge and specimens helps you learn spotting techniques and stay on top of market trends. Finishing up, it's fascinating to see how a coin produced for everyday commerce can evolve into a collectible treasure hunt. From the wide AM variety that rewards keen observation to the mystery of silver-clad proofs that whisper of minting quirks long past, the Indiana State Quarter offers a little something for every collector. Whether you're drawn to the racing imagery, the technical thrill of error spotting, or the potential for striking it rich, looking through a roll of these quarters with fresh eyes can turn a mundane handful of change into a gateway to numismatic adventure. Next, we'll wrap up with a brief conclusion that ties together Nevada's rugged surprises and Indiana's racing intrigue, reminding us that even the most familiar quarters can conceal stories worth telling and value worth uncovering.